This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 7 February 2026. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. Sorry we were not here last week, but both Cowboy and I could not find a time to sit down because of all of the other things in the digital world that were happening, whether it would be in our primaries, in our secondaries, tertiaries, personal. Cowboy, you were like transiting the entire United States at that point, I believe. How are you doing,
Oh,
buddy?
all of the things got in the way.
All the things.
But doing great. Yeah, I had a trip up to Rocky Mountain Cyber Symposium last week. Got to
Ooh,
help teach a little hut meth, like a 6 hour thing. So it was wildly condensed, but we had full class the whole day, given the shutdown. We were pretty excited.
oh,
So
that's right. That did happen. Yeah.
yeah, it was a good time.
Well, 6 hours. And how long is that class normally that you teach?
That's a 5 dayer.
Whoa,
So
that is a little
yeah.
condensed.
So it's almost like we're just going to focus on. It was focused around scripting for automation purposes. So
Well, that's good.
yeah, we took
That's
like a
always
small
helpful.
section of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. And you had fun? Yeah. Was there snow on the ground up in the Rocky Mountains?
There was not snow, not really. No, it was like 58 degrees almost every day.
In
The lake,
February.
yeah, it was crazy. The Broadmoor controls the weather, so yeah, they had it cleared out for this year's event.
Wow.
Unlike 3 years ago when it was like a high of 12.
Yeah, right. Any major themes out of the symposium that's worth sharing with everybody?
I mean, it was probably 60% slower due to the shutdown. Some folks did travel out on Thursday. I saw. Um, uh, Not anything honestly wild. Just kind of another year of space and cyber and the importance of getting after it, and how there's obviously still not enough. And so we're seeing some more on orbit defensive cyber capability
Hmm.
sneak in
Hmm.
there, and that's exciting to see.
Nice.
Wildly needed. So
Well, I'm glad some of that came to light, even though every the turnout was a little bit lower than expected. But uh, maybe next year.
that's right.
All right. Let's get on to the news. In our top story, hackers have hijacked web traffic and compromised NGINX to do it. Cybersecurity researchers have uncovered an active campaign that uses the open source web shell React to Shell to compromise NGINX servers and popular control planes like Biota or BT. Attackers deploy the shell on a vulnerable installation, then rewrite NGINX's configuration to forward all inbound traffic through malicious proxy servers. This covert traffic hijack lets threat actors eavesdrop, inject malware, redirect users to phishing sites, all while keeping the original server's IP in the DNS record. The operation is automated, uses 0 days in older NGINX versions, and has already affected dozens, well, at least it's only dozens, of businesses worldwide. Why does this matter? Well, NGINX powers somewhere north of 50% of the web. A single compromise can expose thousands upon thousands of sites. Stealth and persistence is another one that comes to mind. Traffic redirection is hard to spot, giving attackers a long-term foothold. Supply chain risk, right? Many hosting services ship pre-configured NGINX or Biota images that attackers can target because of these defaults. And there's going to be some money, some economic fallout, Cowboy. Data leaks, and compromised customers' trust can cost millions in remediation and legal fees. So, Cowboy, if you, I'm not running NGINX, but if you were running NGINX, what you might want to do right now is patch immediately. Audit your configuration. Definitely check your slash, and this is on your Linux, folks. or your Unix-based systems, your /etc /conf.d and related directories for unfamiliar directives such as proxy_paths, rewrite, or return. Those might not be the only ones, but those would be good indicators to look for. Deploy web application firewalls to block suspicious user agent strings and malformed headers. Use file integrity monitoring and alert on unauthorized changes to the config files or newly executed binaries, and implement least privileged, which you should be doing anyway. Run NGINX as a non-root user and limit shell upload permissions to the minimum required. Well, it's always nice to know that more than half of the web could be compromised, Cowboy. That's a great way to start the show.
Well, it is a great way, and I have good news for our listeners.
Ooh,
For
ooh,
those that
ooh.
were upset that the last CVSS score was only a 9.8, this one is a 10.
This is a 10.
Shout out
It's a
to
10.
Varsity Blues. It's a 10, a
We've got a
freaking
10.
10. That's right. That's as bad. There is no 10.1 or higher. 10 is as bad as it gets.
10.
Google Threat Intelligence Group has seen some more distinct campaigns leveraging this vulnerability. They're to deploy Minocat tunnelers, Snowlight downloaders, high sonic backdoors, and Compood backdoors, and some other stuff for cryptocurrency miners, which overlaps with previous reporting from Huntress. Hey, shout out to Huntress. We know someone who works there.
We do.
Um, good for you all. They're on top of it. So yeah, I mean, it's as bad as it gets, folks. Like,
It's a
you
10.
hear us say time and time again, right? Get after it. Well, yeah, it's a gaping hole in your chest
Uh,
wound server
I don't
of
even
your
know. Like,
server.
I don't even know. We're always like, you got to patch it now. Like, stop what you're doing and patch now. Like, I can't even say that anymore. Like, it's been like we've said that almost every week we've had a podcast, and this is as bad. Like, this is it, right? Like you said, this is a 10. There is no 10.1. This is, for our Star Trek friends out there, this is warp 10. This is as high as
Mm,
the scale goes. It goes no higher. This is it. This is where it ends. This is an apocalyptic event. It may not seem like it because the internet is still going, right? But you don't know what's now happening to fit up to 50+% of all web servers. That's
yeah,
fun.
and you're going to hear us always say patch immediately because we hardly ever report on anything under like a 9.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's almost not that's almost getting wrapped up in your, monthly or so big group patch updates. So you hear us screaming about it. Yeah, it's a like, oh, pause the podcast, go do a patch, come back, finish
yeah,
podcast.
yes. You know what? For a 9.8, I would say listen to us because there might be something else in there. For a 10, yes, go pause it, do your updates, come back, listen to the rest of the show. I wholeheartedly
That's
agree
right.
with that.
That's right. Don't
So
forget to
so
listen to the
bad.
rest of the show. It's very important.
Okay, well, like I said, I don't use NGINX. I don't. Um, for better or worse, and I don't think this is really too much of an attack surface because I think this is also, dare I say, fairly common for the digital SOC and for a lot of services that I run, right? And this is just putting this out there, folks, as an alternative if you're using NGINX in your home labs or in production. I use Cloudflare Zero Trust tunnels, right? And I know that that does limit some of what we can put out publicly, but I think that's good, right? I think we're not producing services or whatnot that need to be forward facing, so those limitations don't really impact us. And it from for me having the blended environment and relying on Cloudflare, which I know, look, Cloudflare being Cloudflare lately, I love them, but a couple issues here or there in the past couple of months, I would say, right? Like major web providers out there having some issues with uptime and rewriting major single files and stuff like that that are causing the internet to crash. But you know, uh, that's their job. That's what they do. And if they're down, then a good chunk of the internet is down. So that means we would be down. If they're compromised, then everybody's kind of compromised, right? Like it's not like uh, for me, it's a level of risk that I was willing to take by
Mhm.
turning that way as opposed to self-hosting or implementing all that on our own infrastructure, just from a complexity standpoint and a time management standpoint and stuff like that. So, depending on what your stack is, that might be something to look at for your services and where you are. That's my
Uh,
2 cents on it.
and I did miss this. The campaign is currently targeting Asian TLDs, some Chinese hosted infrastructure, and government and educational TLDs like
Hmm.
.edu and .gov. So, yeah, so odds are if you're seeing it in non those countries, it doesn't mean you don't have a 10 vulnerability on your system. It just means you're at least
You're
not
not
under the
being
microscope
targeted by
today.
this 10, yeah.
Right.
The
But
vulnerability is still a 10,
yeah,
and just because the
you
targets today are somewhere else doesn't mean that it's not a priority
yeah.
for you. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want a 10 on your network, right? Like
No, definitely do not. I have enough problems beyond that. I don't need a
right.
10.
Yeah.
All right. In our next story, we're going to talk about our friends from the Great White North. Canada Computers and Electronics under investigation after a data breach hits 1,300 customers. Canada Computers and Electronics, or CCE, is grappling with a data breach that exposed personal information, names, addresses, and credit card details of roughly 1,300 customers. Initial investigations point to a compromised login portal and potential
Mm,
malware on internal services. The breach has sparked frustration over CCE's communication strategy and raised questions about how e commerce retailers secure payment data. So this matters because obviously, payment data in the wind, bad. Something malicious actors love to get their hands on because if you don't know about it immediately, your money is in the wind. Now, credit cards are generally more recoverable, right? Because of fraudulent charges, but your debit account, while you'll get that money back at some point, it's not instant. That's going to hurt and it's going to be painful. Regulatory scrutiny under PCI DSS and GDPR style data protection laws, such incidents can trigger exceptionally heavy fines. There's once again another supply chain implication, which if attackers accessed vendor accounts, downstream partners may also be at risk. Um, if you're concerned about this, what could you be doing? Well, verify your account activity. If you're a CCE customer, I would be checking your accounts. Um, Check in on the credit monitoring you probably got from another breach in the past and see if everything's okay. And then secure your network. Ensure your own devices are up to date and run a full malware scan. Cowboy?
yeah, from what our research shows, they have done a really bad job at transparency and communication.
Ooh,
A lot of
don't like
complaints
that.
about like getting told you were compromised, then getting told you weren't, or they said, oh, it was only affecting guest, um, not accounts, but guest checkouts and stuff, and then told it wasn't. So you're already kind of, you're taking a brand hit as it is, but when you continue to muck it up like that and just you know what I mean, like you come across a lot worse, right? Like if even if you didn't have to cancel your card, like honestly, like if you bought something from them, I would cancel, right, and just get another one, just get a new updated numbers and everything else just to be safe because clearly it, they're having a hard time dealing with this breach. And you've got to keep people's information safe.
Yeah, I mean, lacking communication. Well, this is something I don't know if we've really harped on it on the podcast. I'm sure we've talked about it before, but like crisis comms is essential to maintaining business ops and not allowing customer trust to be completely eroded. And if you're telling me they're doing a real less than fantastic job, that's concerning in and of itself. Do they even care? I mean, at the individual level, sure, but as a company, if is this just cost of doing business for them? Is that why they're not really communicating?
The cost of doing business.
Cost of doing business.
Well, you mean when you think about, we know that breaches tend to go unnoticed for months, right? And then in for 2025, the global average mean time required to identify, contain, and restore services was 241 days. That's about 8 months. to from start to finish. And the compromise is there probably at least half of that amount of time just from when they found it, not counting, left of the bang, but from when it was first identified. So that's a long time and a lot of data that was at risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that that really, I mean, if this company is doing what it's doing, and not communicating, and you're a customer there, you should really think about if you have other providers that you can move on to, right? Because that's just that is just it bothers me. It bothers
It,
me a lot, and I don't know exactly. I'm having trouble um really coming with up with because it's just it- it's people trust you. And when you mess up,
well,
like no one's perfect, right? As
right.
especially in cyber, no one is perfect, and I get that. And I'm not mad. If I was furiously mad about it for everything that goes wrong, right? Um, um, we wouldn't have a podcast. I would just be spewing venom constantly. But so the mistake happens or the compromise happens, fine. But be transparent. Don't be transparent to the point where you compromise your business, but be transparent. You know,
Even if you say we don't know, we're not sure, right? Like
do
that's
something.
better than that's being wrong, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
I think it's a little
yes.
bit worse just because they're a computer company. Like they build computers, PC components, networking equipment, all that kinds of stuff. So it's like
This is
better,
what you do.
right?
Yeah,
It's not Sears or pick your non bed mattress firm, right? Like this is what you do.
yeah. So I apologize for the frustration, Cowboy. Trying not to get venomous, but yeah, like just talk, just communicate. That's all we need. Okay. Oh, well, on that happy note, um,
Hey, speaking of the cost of doing business, here we go.
seriously, here we go. Malaysia has recorded 8 billion in Malaysian ringgit losses from an online fraud since it was in 2020 2020. There you go. That would have been a much later year. You and I both won't be around in material form at that point. Malaysia's parliament reported that the country has lost nearly 8 billion Malaysian ringgits, or approximately 1.8 billion US dollars, to online fraud over the last 6 years. The figure spans phishing, fake e commerce sites, and sophisticated social engineering scams targeting both consumers and businesses. The government highlighted the need for stronger regulatory frameworks and public awareness campaigns. Oh, so they want to communicate. Imagine that. This matters because, of course, nationwide economic damage really hampers investment and confidence within that particular nation state, and it really does affect consumer spending because if they can't trust the infrastructure they're using, they're just not going to use it eventually, or at least not with the level of free frequency. Right? They'll produce commerce in different ways. Cybercrime proliferation, the rising fraud. In this area indicates evolving tactics. This includes deepfake and AI generated phishing, which is getting better all the time. Cross-border challenges. Many fraudsters operate from outside of Malaysia, which complicates that country's ability to enforce and apprehend. Okay, so what can or should y'all be doing about this? Well, educate your employees and consumers. Always a good thing. This is something we harp on. This is why this podcast exists. Run phishing awareness drills. Share up-to-date scam tactics. Now, for phishing awareness drills, your broken English is probably not what you need to be concerned with. You need to have well crafted examples that are likely to get through people that are busy or not hyper observant, which I would say is the majority of people, and not because there's a lack of education and not because there's a lack of interest or concern. I really put it on the frequency at which we get inundated with information in our digital systems, right? Email flows constantly all day. We're getting random text messages from people we don't know. In countries outside the United States, where the primary interface through to talk to the internet is most likely a smartphone, and likely one of a couple of different messaging platforms. Um, the likelihood that you're going to get a message and click on something in that message, just because of the frequency of what you're dealing with, is much higher. So if you're involved in producing training for this, that is definitely what you should be looking at, and you should be wanting to catch your individuals that you're training. You should want them to fail, so that it can be a learning and teaching experience. Not that you're trying to poke out that they did a bad thing, right? That's a different thing. And if that's what your goal is, then you shouldn't be teaching anything, honestly. Strengthen and authentication. Implement your multi-factor authentication mechanisms, your device fingerprinting, and anomaly detection on payment gateways. And collaborate with law enforcement as best as you can. Share threat intel with national cybercrime units to aid investigators and investigations, whether they be at home or abroad. Cowboy?
I could I could do a whole show on sharing threat intel. But for our listeners in Malaysia, you're obviously going to want to uh, craft your phishing training emails in Malay, your national language, maybe some English or Chinese. Um, you have a lot of 130 different languages spoken over there, but go after some of the main ones, get out there and train your folks. On some good news, they arrested 47 individuals
Ooh,
that they believe were involved with this really long 6 year scam going on, and another 44 are under investigation. So, hope that they took some of these criminals uh, off the market, if you will, because 1.8 billion. Good golly! I mean, I if that was me, I would have retired probably in 2022
cost of
with
doing business.
my 4 million or whatever my share was and just run. Like
Yeah. Just off you just live off the
that's
interest, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like they're going after your usual stuff, cryptocurrency as part of it, and crypto wallets and all that jazz. So, which um eh, I'd like to. I'll never see it, but I wonder what obfuscation techniques they were using, if any. Because if you're not using any, you're no wonder you caught. But interested to see what obfuscation techniques they were using to hide that transfer of that currency.
Yeah.
So yay, some people were arrested, but good gravy. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Especially for, um, for Malaysia. I don't know what their GDP is, but I can't imagine that, it's, uh, you know, super high, comparatively to some other, countries in the world, right? So, 8 billion
Well,
over 6 years? Please, yeah.
500 billion
500,000,000,000.
in US dollars. Yeah. So,
Okay, so let's just do some open math. I'm gonna whip out the Pico calc here because 500 billion you said?
yeah,
500 that's a million, that's 500 billion. Okay. So we're gonna go, and how much did they lose? Did we say they lost 1.8 billion? Oh, this is cost of doing
1.8.
business for sure.
Yeah.
Um there's 1.8 billion divided by I'm just gonna go 500 billion just to make it easy. We're talking uh 0.3% of their GDP. So
Yeah.
there you go.
That's I think way under some of the numbers we've run before of the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Um,
So yes, problem. Yes, I wouldn't want to lose $1.8 billion, but that's why there you go. There's your numbers. I'll leave it. I'll just leave that on the table for everybody to
well,
consume.
yeah, we'll let our listeners make their own
Yep.
wow factor
Yep.
there.
Okay, let's do a good news story, shall we?
I like it.
And depending on when this podcast gets up, You may be hearing about this after it's already over and done with. Super Bowl 2026, the NFL deploys cybersecurity squads, advanced routers, and data centers. At the Super Bowl in Santa Clara, the NFL has installed a full blown cybersecurity squad at Levi Stadium, deploying dedicated wireless routers, edge data centers, and AI driven threat detection systems. The initiative aims to protect 40 big gigabit per second of stadium traffic, high definition video feeds, and real time fan engagement apps from DDoS attacks, spoofing, and data exfiltration attempts. Good on you, NFL. Why it matters? Well, I would say there's no bigger venue than the Super Bowl. I think money-wise, that might be true. I mean, I think maybe the World Cup might have more viewers, but I think from the amount of influence, um, it's a super high value target, right? Like live broadcasts attract large audiences and interruptions can cost millions of dollars. This is an evolving threat landscape that attackers are increasingly targeting event-based infrastructure to maximize their disruptions. And the pro here is this is a blueprint. It demonstrates how a sector-specific security architecture can be scaled for a large-scale public event. So, what should anyone listening to this podcast do if you're in cyber? Learn from their playbook, review the NFL's approach to segmentation, redundancy, and AI monitoring, because I think everything they're doing is spot on. Invest in edge security for large venue or data centers. Consider deploying micro segmentation at the edge if you can, and engage with security partners. Cooperate with specialized teams to play and plan for zero-day attacks during high-profile events. This, like I said, this is good news. They're doing it right. Cowboy.
Yeah, looks like they partnered with Cisco, so Godspeed, Cisco. I hope it goes nice and smooth. I certainly don't want it to black out right before the Seahawks score the fifth touchdown of the game. Um, you might have a little insight into who I'm rooting for,
Wow,
but
just making that clear
um,
for everybody.
that is, I mean, we're seeing a big uptick in companies and big contracts to cyber protect these large sports events, the Olympics, the FIFA Cup, right? The Super Bowl, like, and it's needed and it should happen. So it's good to see that uptick because as the turbulent times we live in, I mean, that is a juicy target for hackivists, for state-sponsored, psychological campaigns to impact or take these things down or spread misinformation and all kinds of things, right? So, um, uh, really happy to see this. Really happy to see they're taking the time and the money to invest and get after this real problem because like anything else it's never a problem until it happens, right? And it would be fair. I guess I'm being negative Nancy, but it could be fairly catastrophic depending on what it is. Um, but the loss of revenue, just look at the Super Bowl, right? Not even FIFA Cup where you have multiple games over multiple weeks or the
Right. It's
Olympics.
one day, one game.
One day. Yeah, like what, 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
The revenue loss if you had an outage
Oh God.
is just to me a disgusting amount of money. To them it's 0.01%, but like it plus I don't want to miss my it's like the one time I like watching commercials.
Yes.
Like it got bad for a couple of years, but they're back into good stuff now, so please don't take that away from me. I'm only going to hate you more if you take it down. You're not going to win me over. You're just going to piss me off, just like basically anyone who does ads and anything anymore. Like you don't make me want to buy it. You make me mad because I have to wait 2 minutes to continue watching my show. So,
Yeah.
good luck, Cisco. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all good stuff. Okay. Well, let's see. What else do we got here?
I might have gone on a
Well,
rant. Was that a rant?
no, I
So
don't.
that's
It's no worse than any rant I've ever had. Um, okay. So, and we have one more good story. So, ending on a happy note, I think is a good thing. Arconis Technology has welcomed Insights Technology as Singapore's first MSSP partner. Arconis announced that Insights with a Z Technology, a leading managed service and digital resilience provider, has become the first certified managed security service provider, or MSSP, partner for Arconis in Singapore. The partnership expands Arconis's managed detect and respond offerings, allowing Insights to deliver 24/7 threat hunting, incident response, and cyber insurance services to local enterprises.
Threat hunting.
Anytime you can have MSSP growth is a good thing, and it indicates that there's a continued rise of managed services for smaller organizations who lack that in-house expertise. So that's good. That's helping to load share some of the problem and the ability to respond. I like that. Cyber insurance synergy is happening here. This aligns with regulatory pushes for mandatory cyber insurance in certain sectors. And there's a regional focus, right? Singapore is a key cyber hub. If you didn't know that, it is. The partnership signals heightened emphasis and resilience for a major sector in that part of the world. So, what can or should you be doing? You might want to look at what MSSP options are out there. um, Cyber Cowboy and I might know a couple people that would be interested in speaking to you on that. Not us particularly, but we have friends, right? And that's as closest to the line as I'm going to get. And if anyone knows why, then Cowboy, you know exactly why. But everyone else, that's
You
as
know,
close.
w-
That's where I'm
hey,
going.
we got a guy. We got a guy.
We got a bunch of guys.
We got
Um,
a bunch of guys and gals.
if you're a small or mid-sized business, assess whether outsourcing security can help you close the gap and be more cost effective than hiring staff. It might be, depending on your business model and your overall apparatus. It might not. These are very company specific decisions, and definitely not one size fits all. Review the type of coverage you have and ensure that any MSSP solution includes proactive detection and rapid incident response. And check your compliance. Verify that MSSPs that you use or that you have hired or that you're considering hire adhere to local data protection regulations, such as the Singapore Security Act, for those out there. This is good. I like it. I like it. I mean, I am a very in-house sort of guy, right? We've talked about this before, just from the way I handle my own infrastructure and the digital socks. But I'm not opposed to um, services that help raise all boats. And I think this is one of those times where this is a good thing. Cowboy?
Same. I like to see new and upcoming companies get get these big certifications, right? They go through a lot. There's a ton of prep, a ton of work, and a ton of work to maintain it. So, congrats on Insights with a Z
With a Z.
technology. Yeah, they're bringing in, I mean, endpoint detect and respond, extended detect and respond, disaster recovery, remote management, all good things that need to be in really anyone's network, even the smallest ones need some of that. And this is it is a heavy lift, whether it's the people we know, the guys and gals that we know and work with every day,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is some of the biggest, right? Even for us, it can be challenging, right? Because there's, again, so many endpoints, so much data, so many false positives, right? It is a large task that has, little forgiveness and two black eyes the moment something small
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
right? It's almost as bad as being an Intel person because everyone blames Intel the first thing, right? Like, why didn't Intel find this? Like, well, listen, but I won't go there. But yeah, it's a heavy lift. We need more. If you're listening and you have kids in middle school or even high school and they're interested in cyber, please do everything you can to push them that way. We need more people. We need them in traditional cyber. We need them in space cyber. Um, Help us get after it.
Help us get after it. I agree. Well, Cowboy, what else you got for us this evening?
I don't know. I feel confused. We don't normally have that many happy things
I know. This is
in
good.
our
It's a good week to
broadcast.
come back.
It is. It is. All right. Traffic hijacked via React to Shell, where every click becomes a detour to danger. I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty.
And I'm the professor of cyber risk. To all of you out there that are watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, have fun. And for those of you that are watching the Winter Olympics, you have fun as well, because those opening ceremonies just happened too. And I know that the digital socks out there are doing everything they can do to keep the Olympics safe. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.